Reinier de Ridder was the dark horse of the middleweight division, but not any longer because he's a top 5 contender now. He dominated. I won't say dominated. It was a close fight, but he beat Robert Whittaker. It was emphatic. It was a close fight, but it was an emphatic and surprising win on Reinier de Ridder's part. It was one of those performances where you realize that A, Reinier de Ridder's a giant, massive human being. B, Bo Nickal might not be that bad if he's losing the top 5 guys. And then 3, Robert Whittaker might be done. And that one hurts the most, I think, because as a big old Robert Whittaker fan, I think that he was one of the most important fighters in UFC history to usher us out of the era of Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman into the era of Israel Adesanya. So, very, very, very good performance by Reinier de Ridder. The size played a really decent factor in this fight. There was a point where I'm looking at this fight and I'm like, goodness, Reinier de Ridder is just massive in there compared to Robert Whittaker. It's just, he looked like a different weight class. And of course, we know Reinier de Ridder, when he fought for one championship, tried to go up to heavyweight, fought Anatoly Malikin, and size was an issue. And he got the same advantage here. Now, granted, he doesn't have fists of stone like Malikin has, but he does have an opportunity to use his size, especially somewhere in the clinch. And that's where he really started to work well. The very first exchange, though, Robert Whittaker tried to establish the inside angle. So let's set the scene real quick. Robert Whittaker is an orthodox fighter, left hand forward. De Ridder is a southpaw fighter. He fought southpaw here with his right hand forward. You always hear about the outside foot advantage in boxing, and you really want to get the outside foot advantage. And you know, there's always exceptions to the rule. There's exceptions to that one. We talked about in our film study with Tenshin Nasukawa how he steps to the inside with really long 1-2, and he does good work from there. Manny Pacquiao does the same. But the very first exchange, you know, Robert Whittaker has this karate blitz. He likes to come in. He likes to go inside and the outside angle. So the very first one on the inside angle, Robert Whittaker shoots in on the inside of Reinier de Ridder's foot. Well, you're doing that against a grappler, and that's a terrible idea because it's like, oh, look, you just put your leg between mine. I'll grab that, and that's what Reinier de Ridder did. And he made Whittaker fend off that takedown, and this is why that's important. He had to fend off that takedown, so it took him so much work to defend off. He's like, well, I can't go to the inside angle anymore. That means if Robert Whittaker wants to fight, he goes to the outside angle. Reinier de Ridder said, hey, I got you. Big knees to the body. I mean, just wham. As Robert Whittaker would step into that outside, de Ridder, his rear foot, which would be his, let's see, his left foot, he would just jam it into the body. Intercepting knee, just magnifique. And that was the X factor in this fight. Okay, we're going to be doing a film study this week on this, so you'll be able to see kind of in detail what I'm doing, what Reinier de Ridder was doing. I didn't do it. I'm not fighting Robert Whittaker. Y'all can have that. But this performance showed that Reinier de Ridder is a smart fighter. He makes good game plans, and that is what gets you to the top. Now, there's some really good options out there for him, and we'll talk about that in a second. But back to the knees, like, it slowed down Robert Whittaker enough to where Robert Whittaker was like, okay, like the 4th and 5th round, you notice like he's throwing long jabs, he's extending himself well out past his lead foot. He's not attacking as efficiently as he was. That's exactly what Reinier de Ridder needed to do. Another thing de Ridder did very well was when Whittaker was against the cage or he would push him to the cage. This is going to chew up time, you know, more knees to the body, knees to the leg, which, you know, whatever. He's obviously shooting for takedowns too. But as limited as de Ridder is on the takedowns, here he did a good job of chewing up time on the clock. He did a good job of kind of battering the body of Robert Whittaker and just making life absolutely miserable for him in there. I mean, absolutely hellacious, like, I don't want to be here anymore. And by the end of the fight, you could tell Robert Whittaker, who's been in wars with so many different fighters and who's fought the heaviest of hitters, was like, hey, I don't want to fight Reinier de Ridder anymore. It's crazy. The guys fought Yoel Romero, Stephen Thompson, Jared Cannonier, Israel Adesanya, Chimaev. Like, he's fought all of these killers. Some beat him, some don't beat him. Paulo Costa, like, name them. He's fought them. and it was Reinier de Ridder that broke him. And you could all obviously say, Adesanya beat him, or Dricus beat him, or Chimaev broke his jaw, but like none of them made him quit quite like de Ridder did. And I'm not saying Robert Whittaker was in there and he quit the fight. He didn't want to fight no more, but like he was out of ideas. And it was because of the two things. It's because of, the knees to the body. You can't go to the inside, so knees to the body. What's worse, Robert Whittaker? Is it getting kneed in the body or giving me your leg? Weigh your options, right? And then the fence work. He might have gotten mauled by Chimaev, but he didn't get broken. Well, technically he did get broken. His jaw was broken, but not that same kind of broken, guys. Come on. So, Reinier de Ridder's future is interesting. He's 2-division champ in 1 championship, and now he's like really on the rise here. His future is a top 5 fight, top 5 matchup. It's a good one. Whatever it is. Let's go over, tell you what. Let's go over to the web real quick. I want to take a look at some of the matchups potentially for Reinier de Ridder here. So we'll go to him. Current best middleweight fighters. Now this is number 8. This is on Tapology. It's obviously not the real rankings, but Dricus is an interesting fight. This battle of the Goofy Boys. Chimaev, not so much. I don't like his shot against Chimaev. Imavov, I think Imavov's a tough fight, and Sean Strickland too, because Strickland is real hard to take down. Like, you could make the Izzy fight, that'd be interesting. Cal Barallo, This is where it starts to get interesting though. Fluffy Hernandez, give me that. Brendan Allen, give me that. Dolidze could be fun, as much as I don't like Roman Dolidze. RoboCop is a massive hitter. No, thank you. Roman Kopylov could be okay. Ikram Aleskarov. There's options out there for him. I'm going too far down now, but you see what I'm saying? Like, middleweight has some options for Reinier de Ridder for some fun fights, and he deserves a top 5 fight. So I'm leaning the Adesanya fight is what they're going to give him. But Dricus, that's an interesting fight. And if he loses to Khamzat Chimaev, you could book Dricus versus Reinier de Ridder all day. Now, as for Robert Whittaker, man, you remember those 2 Yo Romero fights where he had to, dig deep and go through the fire, go out there and win. Like, that was some hard fights for anybody, and anybody else in the fight that night would not have beat Yo Romero. He doesn't have it anymore. Robert Whittaker doesn't have it anymore to go out there and win these tough fights. And it's a shame too, because like, he's not appreciated like he should. Let's go back over to the web actually. Let's talk about what Robert Whittaker has done, because what he's done is worth mentioning. 26-9 as a pro now. I mean, obviously the loss to de Ridder and Chimaev in a row kind of sucks, but like, look who he's beat. Ikram Aleskarov, who's probably going to be a top 10 fighter in the future. Paulo Costa is a title challenger. Marvin Vettori is a title challenger. Kelvin Gastelum just absolutely styled on him. Cannonier, title challenger. Darren Till, it was, good at one point in time. Yo Romero, Jacare. Derek Brunson was good back then. Rafael Natal, Uriah Hall. Tavares is a tough fight. Knocks him out in 1. Lost to Stephen Thompson. Court McGhee split decision. Colton Smith, like, he's been around for a long time, since The Ultimate Fighter in 2012. And his legacy is not going to go down as like, one of the all-time greats. But Robert Whittaker absolutely is one of the all-time greats. We need to respect that because of what Whittaker's done for the sport. He's made it fun. He's brought a fun style. And sure, he didn't get knockouts every night, but he always brought a fun fight. Go watch the Yo Romero fights back. They are incredible. Watch them back to back, and you'll be like, oh man, this adrenaline. You feel like you just had the thing of pre-workout, and you got the itches, and it's just, that's the kind of fights that he put on. With Yo Romero and Israel Adesanya, even the second Adesanya fight was really fun. So you gotta appreciate Robert Whittaker wise here. As for Reinier de Ridder, to the top, baby. Let's go see what he can do. Be interesting if he can get past the first round of Chimaev. His jiu-jitsu might be able to get him to survive that, or his size, might be able to get him to survive Chimaev. I doubt it. Dricus is my fight, and then Open Up Grappling, my boy Will said Fluffy Hernandez. I'm like, that's a good one actually. So I like it. Now in our co-main event, we had Petr Yan, the return of the former champion Petr Yan, one of my all-time No, I'm going to say all-time favorite. One of my favorite fighters against Marcus McGhee. And everybody's like, who's this Marcus McGhee guy? Really good boxer, ranked 13. Didn't really deserve this, but Petr Yan fights anybody. He doesn't care. Remember, he fought Sean O'Malley when O'Malley really couldn't get he didn't deserve a top 10 fight. He was ranked in the bottom of the top 15. Marcus McGhee's a similar situation, but this time Petr Yan looked fantastic. That's the second time I've done the in this show, and I'm probably gonna. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it. But this was too much of a step up in competition for Marcus McGhee. Granted, he has the opportunity, and if you have the opportunity and you don't take it, the UFC kind of holds that grudge against you, so it was good on him to take that opportunity, okay? So Marcus McGhee, he showed his toughness in this fight, but Petr Yan was just too much for him. I mean, from the get-go, you could tell Petr Yan was already in control of this fight. It was a really cool combo early on. So we talked about Southpaw versus Orthodox with Reinier de Ridder and Robert Whittaker a minute ago, but here they were in a mirrored stance matchup. Both of them were Orthodox. Petr Yan backs up Marcus McGhee to the fence, and he throws an inside low kick. Now that's not, you never really want to throw inside low kicks because it'll get you countered, but McGee's leaning against the cage, kind of backing up, waiting, and the way Yan did it, he set himself up. So he steps in, does an inside low kick with his rear leg, and he steps down into southpaw. His right hand's now forward. He comes across, boom, big old left, and kind of stumbled Marcus McGhee. I'm like, oh, that's a cool combination. I mean, that's the kind of stuff from prime Petr Yan that people don't respect because of the loss to like Aljamain, Sean O'Malley, and Marab back to back to back. Like, those aren't bad names to lose to. You gotta give Petr Yan his credit. The guy is incredible, and even though he's got like a 19-5 record, which isn't the greatest, but like he lost to Sterling twice. He's already beat Sandhagen, but he's bounced back with 3 good wins in a row now with Song Yadong, Davison Figueiredo, and the Marcus McGhee win. I think it's going to age very well, but the combo was cool. McGhee, Marcus McGhee showed that he was tough at UFC Abu Dhabi, but it was just a step up too fast for him. Let me go look at his record. Let me look at his record real quick. See, 10-0 he was going, or 10-1 going into this fight. But at 35 years old, and you got to make that move. He's at MMA Lab. That makes sense. Like his run through the UFC has been really good. A rear naked choke over Journey Newsom, JP Buys, Gaston Bolaños beat the brakes off of him, and then Jonathan Martinez was a good win. And you're like, okay, so this guy might actually be a promising fighter, and he is. But his ideas in boxing were good to where he was like, okay, I'm gonna throw hands, I'm gonna keep my punches tight. I know Petr Yan likes to step in and exchange, but he let Petr Yan, he didn't push the pace on Petr Yan. And you find when Petr Yan is having a hard time is when he's going backwards. He kind of has a similar problem to Leon Edwards, just not as like detrimental to his game, because Petr Yan can fight going backwards, and he can fight. Leon Edwards fights in the clinch, but regardless, he can fight going backwards if he needs to. But Marcus McGhee was not pushing Petr Yan backwards, and that allowed Petr Yan to get his reads, to download the data, everybody always says, and it allowed Petr Yan to kind of take over the fight, and we saw that from very early on. We got to see a lot of cool things from Petr Yan. Elbows on the break, that's one thing he really battered up a lot of people with, like Uriah Faber early on. Go watch that, because that's like one of the nastiest just setups where he's gonna elbow him again, and then just boom over the top out of the clinch. Petr Yan's Thai clinch is very good. He spends all the time in Phuket. He better have a good Thai clinch, but when he steps out and he'll get into the clinch, and he'll step to the side, get an angle, and then batter people with either shots over the top or elbows over the top, and it's magnificent when he gets going. Now, what's next for Petr Yan? I really want to see him versus O'Malley again. 5 rounds this time. The first fight was 3 rounds, very contentious, very close fight, and a lot of people thought Petr Yan won it. Sean O'Malley's lost 2 in a row. He's lost to Marab twice. There's no way he's getting another title shot. Why not throw it in a fan favorite fight? You could do a 5-round co-main event on a pay-per-view if you really wanted to boost some pay-per-view sales for somebody. Do that 5-round co-main event. Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan. That would be incredible. We could see Petr Yan get the body work and see just how that fourth and fifth round would go. Now, obviously, these two fighters, they're much different now. Sean O'Malley's a lot more reserved and has simplified his game plan, and Petr Yan's a bit older. But that's the fight that I really want. I think that's the only one to make. Everybody's calling for a Petr Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili rematch. After watching that first one, you really want to see that? Like, no thank you. Like, Petr Yan was drowned, and we don't want to see Petr Yan drowned again. He wants to see it, but not me. I'm good on that. I'll pass, guys. Yeah, I'll pass. Further down the card, Shara Bullet returning against Marc-Andre Barriault, and I cannot express how much I do not like Shara Bullet's style. I just don't care for him at all. Marc-Andre Barriault is a brawler. He's a tough fighter, and Shara Bullet, as exciting as he is, and when he does cool things, it's very cool. But most of the time, it's little tippy tap, like pat 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 kicks. And I get that the kicks hurt and the body kicks are like very, very, very detrimental to the cardio of somebody. But it's just not a fun style. Like the Armin Petrosian spinning back elbow to spinning back fist was like uber cool, one of the coolest knockouts I've ever seen. But man, he's just boring most of the time, and I'm not a hater, but like I kind of saw the MVP loss coming when they booked that fight, But this, I just the kicks from it, it's not for me, guys. I don't care for Taekwondo as much. I respect the sport, I respect the art, but it's no thanks. He really does a good job of going backwards and kicking, which is good. Until you get somebody like Marc-Andre Barriault who's going to cover up high and walk you back to the fence. And we saw in that third round, Marc-Andre Barriault literally walk Shara Bullet to the fence. Boom, 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 boom. All right, now we're here. The problem was Marc-Andre Barriault didn't possess the ability to pull the trigger when he needed to hurt Shara Bullet when he was against the fence. So if you think about it like, oh, I'm really good at kicking going backwards. If you don't let him escape out the side and kick you as he escapes out the side, and you make him think he has to go straight backwards, you keep a really square stance, move laterally, you can force him to not be able to kick, and that's what Marc-Andre Barriault had his best success. Didn't have enough to put him away. He had him hurt. He did. He had him hurt. Busted his nose up. He's obviously, they said he's having surgery on his broken nose. I don't want to say cool because that's not cool, but it is cool at the same time because, like, man, Shara Bullet 8-1. But it's just not my thing, guys. I'll be honest, it's not my thing. I don't have fun with the style. I don't think it's that intriguing. I don't think it's that exciting. I get the hype for him, but I'm gonna watch him just in case he does something cool. And I'm a degenerate who watches fights all the time. But other than that, you can have him. I'm good. I'll pass. Elsewhere on this card, Asu Amabayev did his typical fight against a very game Jose Ochoa, who had good ideas in the first round, but Amabayev just kind of grinded out to a decision. Bogdan Guskov really turned off the lights on Nikita Krylov. Really sucks for Krylov because, 2 losses in a row. That's Dominic Reyes knocking you out, which is a bad sign. And then Bogdan Guskov, he's had a really weird run. It looked like he was on a decent come up, but he lost to Blachowicz, OSP he beat OSP, lost to Glover, which these aren't bad names. Beat Johnny Walker, lost to Ankalaev and Paul Craig, and that's where it starts to get like, okay, maybe he can make a comeback. And he beats Gustafsson, Ozdemir, and Ryan Spahn, and you're like, okay. Not the best wins because the names are recognizable but washed. And then he fights Reyes and gets knocked out. And then Bogdan Guskov, who's just got God's gift of power in his hands. And, Guskov he's Anthony Smith, but he's like Bizarro from Superman. Like Bizarro, it's like the bad version of Superman. That's him. But Bogdan Guskov, man, good run so far. Lost his debut to Volkan Ozdemir, but Zach Pauga, Ryan Spahn, everybody beats Ryan Spahn, Billy Alicana, and now Nikita Krylov. So, his best win to date, and I think, he's got a promising career ahead of him. Oh, Bryce Mitchell. Everybody loves Bryce Mitchell, right? No, everybody hates Bryce Mitchell, and probably for good reason. He's a bit obnoxious, a bit annoying, I get it, and he's a bit He's stupid. Let's be honest. He's just dumb. I hate to say it, guys, but it's the truth. But he's smart. And he makes good adjustments, and he has good ideas when he fights. Everybody loves to hate Bryce Mitchell because of what he says outside of the cage. And I'm not here to say, yeah, you shouldn't do that, or yeah. I'm here to look at how Bryce Mitchell fights. And there's a lot of hatred going on around him, but when he gets in the cage, you've got to understand who he is and what he does. Now, this was his bantamweight debut. He fought Said Nurmagomedov, took home a unanimous decision. A lot of decisions on this card, a lot of one-shot knockouts too. But you look at who he is, you look at what he's doing, and he doesn't lose to bad fighters. We like to make fun of him for losing to who? Anderson Silva, Ilia Topuria. Like, these guys are good. Josh Emmett, like, that's the only guys he's lost to in the UFC. Josh Emmett, last time I checked, has a brutal overhand right. That's the one that had seasoned up on the ground. John Silva's just like a bat out of hell. And then we know Ilia Topuria, by then we knew he was going to be great. But, like, look at who he's beat. Actually, hold on. I don't have you guys over on the web. I'm looking at the web without you guys. Like, since joining the UFC, these wins are okay. This is where it gets interesting. Charles Rosa, Andre Fili, and Edson Barboza. You start to think, man, he might be good. This would have been a fight. Movsar Evloev, that would have been an interesting fight. They booked that twice. So good. The loss to Ilia Topuria, that's a tough one. We didn't know how great Ilia Topuria was going to be. Well, this guy knew, because I was like, watching him against Youssef Zalal and Damon Jackson, I'm like, he's got promise. Then beats Dan Ige, that massive knockout to Josh Emmett. Then they gave him one of the most interesting fights that there was. It was Crone Gracie, and he was a huge favorite, but Crone, like, just not the type of fighter. But it plays well into what Bryce Mitchell does. And then you remember he has that nice, like, Crone pulls guard, and Bryce picks him up, slams him, then knocks him out, like, after the slam. And then the John Silva. So you look at this and you see, like, Bryce Mitchell loses fights, but it's not to anybody that's terrible. Like, he doesn't drop fights he shouldn't have. Like, anybody could lose a fight to Josh Emmett, who literally went the distance with Ilia Topuria. Don't forget that. Anybody could lose a fight to him when he got the God-given gift of power that can put any man. He could probably, if you let Josh Emmett cold cock John Jones, I bet you he could knock him out. Like, I'm not saying like that Josh Emmett could beat John Jones in a fight, but I bet if you took Josh Emmett's power and just let him get a free shot on John Jones, he could knock John Jones out. That's how much power he got. John Silva, we know how good John Silva is. Ilia Topuria, double champ. Okay, so you watch him against Said Nurmagomedov, and he gets cracked with a knee. And he said, I don't remember being kneed, so you're lying. It never happened, which is hilarious because that means he was really out. But he managed to survive because Said Nurmagomedov really just didn't want to go for the finish there. I don't know why. He tried for a minute, but then just kind of, okay, well, I'll just hit him again. Didn't work. So this is Mitchell coming down to bantamweight, and he didn't look terrible, if I'm being honest. He looked big and strong against a Dagestan. And then MMA Guru hit the whole, send him to Arkansas 2-3 years and forget, and I tweeted, I'm afraid that's a bar. I'm afraid to say it, guys, but that was a bar. Send him to Arkansas 2-3 years, forget. That's a bar. So shout out to that. That was great. But it was really cool to see Bryce Mitchell, press Said Nurmagomedov, who had really good hands, or really good kicks. Press him against the cage. So, hey, how you going to kick me if I'm holding on to you against the cage? And then just muscle him to the ground, get the takedown, and control him there. No significant strikes up until like the last minute of that round 3. In that specific round. He has significant strikes beforehand. And it's weird because Bryce Mitchell has good elbows, and he really does a good job of dicing people up. So I don't know why, he didn't go for that more. There was a point where he was trying for the big boy submission trifecta. It was he had Said Nurmagomedov for a straight arm bar, so you can get it here, or you can Kimura him. He was trying for those, and the Americano was there. And you're not going to get Said Nurmagomedov with that. That's a big boy muscle move. And I get you're coming down from featherweight, so it might have been possible, but yeah, Said wasn't having any of that. Really cool moment, though. William from Open Note Grappling, again, second time I've shouted him out on the show. Today, I shout him out pretty much every week because his content's great. Go check his newsletter out. It's fantastic. He was in an arm triangle, and what Said did, so Bryce Mitchell's between him and the fence. and Saeed's on his back as Bryce Mitchell's off to the side going for the arm triangle, and Saeed, great dexterity, brings his feet up on the cage and bloop, pops his head out. Go look at Open Note Grappling on X. Go look at that if you want to see really cool submission escape. And I'm like, man, that was sweet. That was sweet. So yeah, love him or hate him, guys, Bryce Mitchell is a good fighter, and we gotta start understanding that when we start matchmaking here. So yeah, Muslim Salikov, one hitter quitter of Carlos Leal. I mean, Leal just overcommitted, and Salikov comes with a huge right hand. So Team Sonda forever, right? Davey Grant's son, Damon Blackshear, who's okay. Davey Grant managed to go out and do another great performance. He's always either on or off, and you got to watch him fight every time because it's always fun. Tabitha Ricci beat the brakes off of Amanda Ribas, sent Ribas to the hospital with a broken orbital, getting surgery. Billy Alicana, oh, speaking of, got a 3-round decision over Ibo Aslan. I thought Turkey was going to be the next thing, and Aslan was going to lead that. I'm still big on Turkey, but I don't think Aslan's the type of fighter you're going to see out of Turkey. I think more Dagestan. Stephen Wynn, oh my gosh, 6 knockouts. Set the UFC record for most knockouts in a fight. Beat Muhammad Yaha, swole his eye up, 2nd round doctor stoppage. Horrible performance from the referee. Herzog, was it? Who was that now? Let me see. Terrible performance by referee. I think it was Herzog, and I hate to say it because Herzog's a great ref. And then Martin Boudet got a unanimous decision win over Buchecha. Grappled him to death and back. Now, if you don't know Buchecha, I was hyped on him coming to the UFC. ADCC champion, one of the best grapplers in the world, especially as a heavyweight. So, wow. To get out grappled by Martin freaking Boudet is hilarious. Now, Boudet's, 16-2, but you go look at who he lost to, and how old is he? Oh, 30. I thought I said 39. Shamil Gaziev, he got tired. You remember that? And then I lost way back in the gap. So, wait. I guess Juan Espino. Interesting. Juan Espino went to fight in the UFC. That was their second fight. Huh. Neat. And then he lost to Alexander Romanov and had a decision draw. But, I mean, look at Boudet. Like, he beat Arlovsky. He beat, I don't know who that is. And then Buchecha now. Like, okay, experience is a real thing. Overall, UFC Abu Dhabi wasn't terrible. Boring fights. Some of them, like Almabayev. Bryce Mitchell, I see can be boring to somebody. I enjoyed that one at least. So, but yeah, great. So anyways, guys, that's it for this week. Links in the description for, go get you a book. American Shaolin's down there right now. This one's a really fun read. Newsletter. Go sign up to that. You can get these directly to your inbox, and subscribe to the boxing channel if you're about boxing. You'll like that. Also, oh, wait, don't leave. Wait, please stay. Fight Finder 7's out. Finally, Fight Finder 7. That link is out. You can check that on the Fight Finders playlist, and I'll put it right here for you guys. Check out Fight Finder 7, my documentary on an Olympic fighter, Tom Scott.